People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, guys, we are back. And this week we have a legend in show business. I say that often, but I mean it this time. This person, this is
not mean it for?
this.
I want to know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you. This person was the first illusion show that little Wes Iseli ever saw.
Aww.
This person was inspiring to me. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing an illusionist on stage. I'm seeing a female illusionist on stage, and I'm just in awe. And it was awesome. Everything about it was totally professional, totally amazing. And it was just like, I'm done. I have to figure out a way to do this. Everybody, it's Lyn Dillies. What's happening? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thanks for being here. So I don't know the date of the year. I think.
Oh, you don't have to tell me.
I'm not going to, it's not going to be bad. I mean, all right. So do you remember working First Night Virginia?
Charlottesville.
Wow.
I was there.
Wow.
I was in the front row.
That's crazy.
What age were you?
Cheering and clapping very hard. I mean, I wasn't a kid. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I drove.
Oh, okay. So.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah. It was awesome.
It just made my day, Wes.
I didn't know if you'd remember that, even doing that gig. You know, if it's not on video or film, we don't remember them. So thinking back then, yeah.
That's incredible. Well, I'm glad I had a little bit of an impact on your career.
Dude, I'm telling you, so it was growing up watching Copperfield, right? And every year Copperfield came up with another special that just outdid the previous one. And falling in love with magic, doing magic tricks in high school. But then going to see a real magician on stage. You were like the first real.
Live, yeah.
I think you might have been my first magic show I ever saw, Lyn.
Wow. Unreal.
Yeah. Especially illusionist. I mean, you were doing big stuff and
yeah.
Awesome.
That's crazy. Oh my goodness. Well, everything comes full circle eventually.
But getting to meet people that I looked up to and was in so awe of that night, it's amazing.
Wow.
Thanks for being awesome. That's what I said.
Thank you. Thank you. Right back at you.
So we got a list of questions for you, and I don't even know where to start. So I haven't seen you in so many years, right? So I haven't seen you since that night. And I hear your name all the time. All my friends in the Northeast always say, Lyn Dillies, Lyn Dillies, Lyn Dillies. And my friend Jim Spinato, when I go to work his comedy club, I said, well, I have some illusions in the trailer. We don't need that. Lyn Dillies did illusions here. And that was, no, we don't need it. We've already done that. I'm like, all right, but it's cool. No, all right, Lyn Dillies did that. All right, Jim. You're the only one allowed to do illusions in there. I was like, okay, that's fine.
Oh, God.
He loved you. He thought you were awesome.
Oh, he's one of my faves. Absolutely. I love Jimmy. Call him Jimmy. You know, the first time I played comics, I literally drove all the way down like a couple weeks before with my tape measures and everything, because it was, you know, playing a comedy club is a whole different ball game for me. And it was a challenge. So it's the one type of venue that I'm a little uncomfortable with. And I needed my crutch. I needed to be able to do a couple of illusions. So I scoped it out and I said, Jimmy, I can do metamorphosis. He's like, what? So yeah, in it came and we pulled it off and he was floored. So, but then, you know, I became more comfortable with the venue and now I don't need my crutch anymore. So, but I still have to bring in a couple of suitcases. So he cracks up every time.
Oh, he said it looked like I brought a magic shop with me because I had my little tricks on my table that I could just grab and do the next one. So I don't have to dig around for them or anything like that. And then I looked over at his table and I know what those tricks are, Jim. That's from a magic shop. You're doing the same thing I'm doing. He's so great. We love him so much. So
he's wonderful.
I never get to ask my magician friends when we're talking, even hanging out at conventions, how did you get started? Let's go there. Let's start there.
Yeah, it's really, really insane to me because growing up, I was a very, very shy child. Yeah, I'd hide behind my parents, painfully shy. And It's crazy, Wes, because at 8 years old, this magician came to my school to put on an assembly. And I was such a wreck that he might see me and pick me to go on stage that I just sank way down in my chair so he wouldn't see me. I missed the whole show. It had zero impact on me. Nothing, zero, not even on the radar. And then 4 years later, The Magician was on with Bill Bixby. And that's what really sparked my interest. And I had my dad take me to a local magic shop and bought me some pocket tricks. And we know what those are. I was fanatical about perfecting these tricks. My grandfather was a concert violinist. He taught me how to play the violin, but more importantly, he taught me the importance of practice. So you have to practice. So I wanted to make sure that these tricks were perfect. And then I brought them with me on the school bus. I was doing magic in the classroom, lunchroom, and it was so empowering. Before I knew it, my shyness was disappearing. And I was hooked. I said, this is it. This is all I'm going to do. And that's been true till this day.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. All right. I want
Wait. I have to ask. Okay. How was your parents' reaction when you told them I'm going to be a magician full time? I'm just curious because like his dad was supportive, but his mom was handing him applications. But then once he made it, his mom was his biggest fan. So mom's worried. So I'm just curious from another point of view. How did your parents? What was their encouraging you for a backup plan, or were they gung ho? Yeah, you got this.
Well, when I decided that this was going to be my profession, they were a little concerned. Think about it. Their daughter wants to do this professionally and make a career out of it. How is that going to work? So they were a little nervous about it at first, but then they embraced the idea. It was my aunt who really told me to pursue my dream. And she had been in a terrible car accident, and she knew that life is short. And she really inspired me to just go for it, because I did go to college for 1 year, but I hated it. And I would leave and I would go to my aunt's house and have tea with her and, show her magic tricks. And, it was therapeutic for her as she was recovering. And she's the one that inspired me. She said, you already know what you want to do with your life, and you're really good at it and you love it. It's your passion. Do it. And so then that really prompted me. I said, this is it. And finally, my parents were like off the chart, so proud, unbelievable. I had such great support, amazing. So I'm very blessed. But yeah, they were a little suspicious at first.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to get back to the story. I'm going to take it on a left turn real fast, just magic talk.
Sure.
Bill Bixby's The Magician. You watched everything, right? You know it inside and out, pretty much, I guess.
Pretty much.
When they went to the Magic Castle instead of the airplane, were you still on par, or was that just, I don't know, something weird about it? I don't know. I want him to have both, I guess.
I know. I agree.
Okay, perfect. I don't know if you even have any idea. He lived on an airplane. He traveled around. And then another season, like they got rid of the airplane and just had him in the castle.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome. But let's solve some mysteries and be on the road. You have this cool thing. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Back to the program.
Yep.
Natalie, in her bio, it said that when she was a little girl doing those packet tricks, she would walk up and down the neighborhood knocking on doors and showing people tricks. Does that sound familiar?
That sounds very familiar.
What was your reaction? What was the neighbor's reaction?
Well, fortunately, they were very inviting to have me come in and do some magic for them, But I can't imagine in this day and age, hearing the doorbell, opening the door, and here's this skinny little girl with a cardboard box of tricks wanting to do a show. And I tell the story in my show too. I still can't get over it. I used to walk up and down the highway collecting aluminum cans to turn into recycle for money to buy magic tricks too. I kept track of every single penny that I had to pour into the magic. And the first
is an addiction. It literally is an addiction. I remember shaking given my allowance and change on the magic table. It's like a drug. I mean, you want the next because it feeds you to entertain others. And
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a whole give and take thing, The first time I purchased my own, it was like a smaller illusion. It was like the headless box trick by grant, and it was on the top shelf of the magic shop. I thought, that looks really cool. Well, I saved all my money, went in to buy it. I was such a wreck spending all this money that I took so long to collect. I passed out cold right on the floor in the magic shop.
Oh my.
Went down like a wet noodle.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. But boy, it's a good thing I didn't know back then how much I would be investing into my show. I would have never gotten up off the floor.
Yeah. I know how big your show is. Your show is a lot bigger than ours. Yeah. Yeah.
The magic ain't cheap. Yeah.
No.
It's not. It's not. No, not at all.
So growing up, did you have female role models in magic, or you just followed magic and you just happened to be female?
That's pretty much how it turned out, Wes. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had a role model in magic, I would say Doug Henning.
Okay.
For sure, because I loved his warmth on stage. I loved how he broke down the barriers. He was able to really reach the audience. And plus, he was really cool. Look at him breaking all these stereotypes. So, I thought that was pretty neat.
So I didn't learn about Doug Henning until his death, because I knew Copperfield. I grew up in the Copperfield era, and I didn't know I was working in a magic shop and Doug Henning died. Well, who's this guy that died that everybody's talking about? You don't know Doug Henning? So that's when I started doing research on Doug, and it's like, wow, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I have that Facebook group where I post about magicians, and the comments, people still don't get Doug today. They're like, yeah, somebody said today, yeah, but he's wearing like a spandex onesie. What's up with that? At the time, things change. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, here's this kind of hippie dude, with the jeans, the suspenders, with all the theatrics, the choreography, doing all this magic, and no, it was game changing.
So that's usually people have a team. They're either Copperfield or Doug Henning. Are you one of the?
Well, absolutely started out with Doug Henning, and then some of the theatricality and the storytelling with David Copperfield kind of infiltrated into my show too.
Yeah, that's when I learned the word vignette. I mean, every single piece, he could just take that piece and put it in a different show, and it's just, you're watching a little mini movie right now, and it's just a piece that's, yeah, amazing, amazing. So in your bio of everything you've done, it said that you have Melbourne Christopher Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hollywood Magic Castle. I mean, I'm sure you work the big stage there. You don't do the close-up like that. You do the big stuff. And I want to pick your brain about even getting everything over there. What a logistics nightmare. Are you just driving it all across country?
Well, I had to line it up where I was doing a couple of theater shows out there, and then figured while I'm out there, that's how I made that work, because otherwise I would have been paying to play the Magic Castle.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. But obviously it's such an honor, and you wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm really glad I did it. But to do it again on that scale, if I did it again, it would probably be a smaller version of my big show, my solo show.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. We'll see what the cards hold.
So what is, as long as I've been in magic, I've never heard of the Dove Foundation Award. What is that one?
The Dove Foundation Award is based on family entertainment. And when I came out with my Learn Magic with Lyn DVD, it received that award, Parents' Choice, iParenting Award as well, Film Advisory Award. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I personally wasn't too happy with these generic magic kits that I was selling after my show. And I felt that, I could relate that when you buy some of these tricks, the instructions are deplorable. You can't even understand what the trick is, never mind how to do it. So I decided to do this DVD, and I would actually, film myself doing these tricks with everyday objects, non-toxic objects that the kids could use, So I went through the whole step-by-step process. Here's the trick, demoing the trick. Here's how to do it, and how to perform it. So yeah, it was really cool, done kind of in a Nickelodeon type format. So it was very well received, and I still sell it after my shows, and it's probably going to be a classic in magic.
That's awesome. I got to get one. Can I still get them online?
Oh, I'll send you one.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I still love my DVDs. I have over 4,000 DVDs. not everything's on Netflix. If I want to watch it, I want to watch it now. I don't want to wait for it to come back on streaming or something. So performing all over the U.S. and Canada, what is the logistics getting it across the border? And I can't imagine with the illusion going through all of that.
Right. It was a nail biter at times. And plus having 3 doves that I used in the show, which I still do, but that was more nerve-wracking than anything, you know. So I had to do a little fudging here and there with their vaccinations and, you know, things like that. And they were very healthy, but yeah, I didn't do Canada a whole lot because of that reason. It just didn't even seem like it was worth the trouble. By the time you get a broker with all the equipment, and it was like, I'll just stay in the US, you know.
Yeah, I guarantee it. It's got to be a logistical nightmare. And then with the animals.
Oh, yeah. The animals are a whole nother level.
But animals, probably you're like us. We feel like it's not our show without them.
Right.
We can do a show without them, but it doesn't feel like it's
it's like a toned down show.
It's a toned down show.
I feel like something's missing.
Right, yeah.
Part of our family.
Right.
Exactly. Absolutely.
That's weird. People don't understand that. But when you do it and you love them and you see the reaction they get and you leave them at home, you know, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Talk about animals. Let's get into this.
Yeah.
Not 1, but 2 elephants.
Oh, wow.
Appear, disappear. Yeah. Tell me this story.
They appeared. So I've always loved elephants. I'm a elephant fanatic. And back in 2000, this local zoo was reopening. It had been closed for 4 years for renovations. So I had done a lot of work for the city of New Bedford, and the mayor knew of my show and so forth. And he loved theater. And I proposed the idea to him about making there were 2 elephants there, making one of the elephants appear for the grand opening of the zoo. And he said, "You could do that?" I said, "Of course I could." So he said, "Oh, that would be fabulous. Let's do it." So anything I needed from the city was at my disposal. You know, he even assigned somebody to work with me, and I was going around to all these old mills, finding all this fabric that we needed for, you know, some of the illusion and everything. And so I came up with the method and so forth, and, you know, realized that this was going to take a lot of practice with the elephant. And I had to have a prototype of the illusion constructed in the elephant's barn. And it was on a motorized hoist. So the whole thing was, let's make sure that we are so prepared with the rehearsals that nothing would spook the elephant. We wanted to desensitize her and just keep going through everything step by step and making it really fun for her too. So this rig up in her barn, you'd press the button and the whole thing would lower with all this practice fabric on each side of this 4-sided metal frame. Okay. And so then she would get used to her boundaries and so forth. But through this whole process, you guys, it really bothered me that I'm only producing 1 elephant. You know, the other elephant will just have to, you know, be in her barn, and they were really close. So it was probably halfway into this whole journey. I swear it was like a lightning bolt epiphany. I figured out a way how I could make the second elephant appear in succession. So I would do the appearance with the first elephant and immediately repeat it, and then boom, produce the second elephant. So yeah, and then, you know, we had to get her into the rehearsals too. It just took a long time. I mean, I had a CD with all of the music that I was going to use, different noises, like the audience clapping, fireworks, thunderclaps, things like that, to desensitize them. Because if anything went a little crazy during the illusion, then, you know, they would just kind of be used to all of that. So we just practiced for months, and then, you know, we finally had the event, and I was getting dressed in this barn close by to where the illusion was going to happen. And we had it perfectly timed. It was like clockwork. and I hear a knock on my door, and my assistant, Mark, said, "They're here." I thought he was talking about the press or the audience. I said, "Who's here?" He said, "Emily and Ruth, the elephants." They were so excited. They were rumbling and their ears were flapping. They were so excited because they knew that this was the night. They sensed it, and
Wow.
they were just over the moon excited. So there I was, I introduced the illusion, and here I go. And, each panel of fabric was released from this four-sided frame that was suspended within hundreds and hundreds of feet of metal truss. It was huge. And anyway, I made a motion for this whole thing to lower, and the audience absolutely freaked out. That was the biggest aha moment of my career, was that moment when the first elephant appeared. They went crazy. Some people cried because it was so beautiful. And the elephant walked over to the side, and I had them repeat the illusion. I had them raise this thing again, and then it lowered, and bam, there was the second elephant. People still talk about it. So
wow. Wow.
Yeah, that was incredible.
So explain to me where people are seated. Explain to me the setup of it. Because I saw the video of the donkey and the elephant. Is that the same trick?
That was the same illusion on steroids. The first time around, it was a lot more organic.
Okay.
Just a little simplified if you were to compare both of them. And I told myself, if I do this again, these are some of the changes that I would make with it. And I mean, the set for the donkey elephant was just a lot more spectacular, because I knew that was part of a greater purpose. So I pulled out all the stops for that with the film shoot and the set design and everything. But the first time around, we were performing this illusion literally in a pasture at the zoo with a stockade fence all around the pasture. The audience was on three sides of this pasture. Wow. Yeah. Wow. It was, I still can't believe that we pulled it off, and it was so impactful. Like I say, people screamed and they cried because, I mean, to just see within, maybe like 75 feet in front of you, this elephant appear, they had no idea what they were in for. These people thought they were just taking a tour of the zoo. And then they stopped and then congregated. And then the mayor came out, introduced me, and we rolled with the illusion, and bam, it was the elephant.
Wow. So that was the whole show. You just produced two elephants and show over.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And the gentleman who the mayor assigned with me, one day when we were scoping out some pieces of equipment for the illusion and all this fabric that we needed to, because I needed to have the whole perimeter of this fence that was even beyond this pasture that ran along some of the streets in the city. I needed to have them all masked because we would rehearse at night, and I couldn't have people walk along and peek in and see what we were doing. So I needed hundreds and hundreds of yards of fabric. And we're piling all this fabric into this car. And he looked at me and said, "How long is this whole thing going to last?" I said, "Well, Danny, about 3 minutes." 3 minutes? He thought it was going to be like an hour show.
All right. So when I read in your bio, or maybe in the news article you sent me, it said that you produced the mascots. Totally makes sense in the wording. But I was expecting people in a donkey elephant outfit. I wasn't expecting another real elephant and a real donkey. So that was a surprise when I saw that video. Yeah.
Yes. Well, that mission was inspired by my late father, who loved politics. He ran a lot of political campaigns. I would tag along and hold the campaign signs and shake people's hands and hand out brochures and so forth on the candidate. So he taught me about the importance of voting. And I lost my dad in 2005, actually 20 years ago last week. And I kept thinking of my dad as the 2008 presidential election was looming. And I had another brainstorm of this illusion that I could do to produce the two live mascots. But then even beyond that, that I would create a public service campaign to teach young people about the importance of voting. but I needed the illusion to be the hook for the whole thing. And again, that took months and months of planning because the zoo didn't have a donkey in its collection. So I ended up joining the Donkey Mule Society of New England, becoming a member, putting the word out that I needed a donkey for a project. And that's how I found the donkey. And there's a whole long thing about the donkey. Had to come to the zoo to meet the elephant to see if either animal would freak out. And hopefully they wouldn't. And they passed the test. Then I sent the donkey off to Vermont for some professional clicker training. Then the donkey had to be brought down to the zoo again in quarantine for 6 weeks before we could even start rehearsing with the donkey. So it was a whole thing. And getting the donkey and the elephant to be close together when they appeared without freaking out around each other. Can't even get that to happen down in Washington, never mind.
That's true.
In a field. But no, we pulled it off and it went off beautifully.
Wow. People have no idea. The fact that you had to join another group just to even get the word out. Hey, I need a donkey. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the owner of the donkey was wonderful. We've become such great friends, Judy. And she said, Lynn, I've never heard Abner, the donkey. I've never heard him bray. He's very quiet. I said, oh, Judy, that'll be great, for the illusion, because that's the last thing we want is a donkey making that hee-haw noise, And one day when I went to check on Abner, I heard this crazy noise way off in the distance, this hee-haw. I thought, what is that? And then the trainer said, that's Abner. I'm like, what? He's not supposed to bray? So that was going to be another challenge to make sure he would not utter a peep during the illusion. And then, to get the animals close together and get used to it, they would have to, have just a walk by. The donkey would walk by the elephant enclosure one day, and then the next day maybe stop for a few minutes, and just kind of stand there. And then the next day get a little closer. This whole thing took about a month. And finally, when I went to check on things at the zoo, I show up and nobody could believe their eyes, because here is Emily the elephant and Abner the donkey standing within about 4 feet of each other, and nobody wanted to even blink. We couldn't believe it. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, Abner sneezed, which caused Emily the elephant, I swear she jumped 2 feet in the air, and her ears started to flap and everything, and she made this elephant noise, and that caused Abner to bolt in the zoo. He just took off. And we said, whoa, that is so random and scary, because as much as you can prepare for something, you never know. Abner was the X factor.
You can't plan a sneeze.
You cannot plan for a sneeze. No.
No. But fortunately, everything went really well.
Good.
Our identical twins, we're putting them to produce our kids at the beginning of the show. We're putting them in a giant square circle. Mm-hmm. And they're shh.
Playing hide and seek with the audience.
I love it.
Right? But one of them, I'm talking to the audience and doing a little in one piece, and they're right behind me. And I can hear them talking, but they're not mic'd, but nobody else can hear them. And he sneezed, Achoo! Shh! Sorry. I hear this whole conversation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you can't plan a sneeze.
You can't write this stuff.
No.
All right, so besides that whole thing, you're going out doing this vote thing. That hasn't stopped. You're still talking about get out and vote. You're talking about it in colleges, libraries, wherever. Yeah. Tell me more about that. Does that never ends? That's not just an every 2-year, 4-year thing.
It has what we call the evergreen effect, Wes, because it's something that's always needed, and civics aren't taught as much in schools these days. And it's such a wonderful way for these kids to learn about the importance of voting in their lives. And it's not like hitting them over the head about it. It's just teaching them hey, listen, this is going to be an important part of your life, and you have an important voice. Use it wisely and responsibly. And this is what it took for us to have this precious right to vote. So it covers all the bases. I even have a really nice segment where veterans are on camera talking to the kids about voting and their sacrifice to our country. And one of those sacrifices is the freedom to vote. That's what they fought for, and it's almost a slap in their face and disrespectful to not participate in the voting process. So that's compelling. Then I do a deep dive into the women's suffrage movement, the Selma to Montgomery March. But the cool thing is the magic is integrated into this whole thing. The kids are riveted. They're on the edge of their seat. At the beginning of the presentation, I do about 3 quick illusions to get them right here in the palm of my hand, because then they don't know when the magic's going to happen, and it just shows them like, hey, this is major stuff. And then it's all seamless how the magic's woven in. And then I culminate the program with the video of the donkey elephant illusion. I kind of keep dangling the carrot in front of them, here's a sneak peek at it, or, hope all the months of rehearsal pay off, and, show a little clip or a still picture to keep them engaged in just the concept of that's how this whole thing originated. It was the illusion. And then I show the illusion on this huge screen and they really dig it. And then finish off with metamorphosis, because I explain that metamorphosis means change, and we can all create change by voting and, find a cause that speaks to your heart, kind of a thing. So it's wrapping up on a really, really positive, empowering note. And I've run into a lot of kids, even locally, who have seen the program. A lot of them are cashiers, at Target or Walmart. And they're like, hey, didn't you come to my school? I'm like, yeah. It was that voting thing, right? I said, yep. I said, did you vote? And they all of them said yes. And they were excited to vote. I even have an essay contest called What Voting Means to Me. And the kids, the seniors who attend the assembly, they can go online to my website, submit their essay, and then all the essays are collected and reviewed by the League of Women Voters. They decide on the winner, and the winner receives a Lyn Dillies scholarship in honor of my dad toward their college education.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really special. And then I get to present them with the scholarship.
So your passion came from your dad. Did your dad's passion for politics come from being a veteran, or did it come from?
He was a veteran. I don't know really what the origin was, to be honest with you, with my dad. He just loved the whole process. And to be perfectly honest, I mean, Your Vote is Magic is completely nonpartisan.
Right.
My dad always taught me, which I think is a great lesson, is that you get behind whoever you believe in, even if you cross party lines, because really, that's all about when you believe in what a candidate could do for the community or our country. So he did, he just really rallied behind whoever he thought. And I even have a whole thing in the program about the fact that every vote matters, and then my dad was involved in this election. He was the campaign manager for it. And it was such a close race. They had to have a recount. And my dad was actually there, watched every vote be counted. And this state representative won by 7 votes. 7 votes. So every vote mattered that day. And now he's a state senator, So yeah, we don't have a perfect voting system, but what would happen if nobody voted?
Right.
We'll just leave it at that. It's a privilege, and a lot of people gave up their lives so we can have that privilege.
Well, I want to see this show.
Yeah.
I'd learn a lot. I learned nothing about. We didn't learn much about anything in my school. A county public school, and I think she tells me about Hitler and different things like that. I'm like, no, we learned Civil War every year from the 6th grade to senior. We didn't learn anything about World War II, World War One.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Civil War every year, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or just Southern teachers, or that's just what they like to teach. I don't understand. I don't know.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is much needed. There's a lot of voter apathy out there. And so that's another facet of my career. And I have to say, probably most proud of that.
That's awesome.
Because it's making such a tangible difference in young people's lives.
Right.
Well, talk about making differences. This is a good segue. I want to talk about the food bank in 2020.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Amazing.
Well, thank you. You guys know that everything came to a screeching halt during the pandemic. Who could have written that into our script? it was mind blowing. And right before I had lost my mom, and I didn't even know how I would survive her loss, to be honest with you. And then enter pandemic, because I thought the only way that I'll maybe survive is to just get out there and do what I love, performing. Hello, pandemic, a month and a half later. So I guess you could call it the universe or whatever you believe in, led me to this food mission that I started. And along with my cousin, who came up with the idea to help these senior citizens that were in quarantine and they needed food down the street from this church that he was the moderator at. So he said, we've got some extra money, Lynn, maybe we could get them some food. And I said, well, Scott, you've got cancer, which he still has, stage 4. I said, you can't be going into stores, so I'll go and do the shopping, just tell me how much I can spend. Brought the food back, put them in bags, and then marched down the road and delivered them right to the seniors. And of course, they were thrilled. But then the word got out, and we had more senior groups and more senior groups. Before you know it, I'm helping out like 400 or 500 senior groups or senior citizens in a week, and going into all these stores almost every day, spending all this time, sterilizing the food. We had to do that for a long time, and came up with a team of volunteers to help me do all this. Then the word got out to the Greater Boston Food Bank about what we were doing. And they said, you know what, we're going to hook you guys up with some food. That was a game changer. I put my truck back on the road, was using it every single week to pick up pallets of food and hundreds of loaves of bread, brought it back to the church. We all got together, unloaded the truck, dissected all the food, put it in bags and boxes, and then started with a drive up. Cars would drive up around the church parking lot, pick up the food. And we created just this really cool culture of caring, kindness, treating people, just with the utmost respect, no matter what their situation was. Not making them feel like a number. I had, a great playlist of music, which I still, bring with me. We do it, we did it every week back then, but now it's every other week. And anyway, people needed us as much as we needed them, because it gave us all a purpose. And then we needed a fundraiser. So I looked out at this whole thing happening one night and I said, wow, we are feeding people more than food. We're feeding them hope. The hope that their lives will get better and they'll get through this. And hope's a reason to go on. So I ended up with these lawn signs that I designed with a green heart that said hope in the middle of the heart. And we sold them. And people had them on their lawns all throughout the South Coast. It was so beautiful to drive around and see hope everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's our MO, is hope. And, it's still a big part of what we do. And we now help out on a Tuesday afternoon about 1,800 people.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you still pallets of food, or is it downsized now that things are back to normal?
That's 1,800 people.
If anything, Wes, it's expanded because the need is greater than ever.
Yeah.
So is that your truck picking up everything still today?
Well, no, the truck is used mostly for the bread. I have some sponsors who purchase bread for us. So you're talking hundreds of loaves of bread that I go to pick up. And it's all stacked up on these kind of like small trays in the truck up pretty high. And then I pull up and the volunteers come out and they unload the bread. I do the check-in because I like to see people face to face and see how they're doing, and you build up this trust with people. A lot of times people just need a smile, when they're going through tough times, and you just show that you care. It's not brain surgery. If a person breaks down and they just lose it because they can't believe they're in a food line, first time in their life, maybe, try to get their phone number and, call them in a few days and just check on them and see how they're doing. It's basic kindness. So
me as famous magician Lyn Dillies has given us dinner. Oh my, that's even better than just getting dinner. I got it from Lyn Dillies. Wow.
Well, it was so funny during the pandemic, driving around in my truck. This is a pretty big truck. And it's pretty beefy looking. It's got the chrome and all black with my logos on it and stuff. Pretty spiffy looking. So I had all these special bags that we made up for homeless people, you know, with the snap off tops on the cans and, you know, tuner and all of that. I keep them in my truck. So I'd pull up to an intersection at the light. I looked across and I could see somebody standing out there, you know, holding a sign, need food, you know, that kind of thing. So I motioned over and he came up and he's looking up at me. I said, hey, maybe this will help you out. And I gave him the bag of food and he's like, oh, thanks so much, man. Oh, this is awesome. Then I thought after, can you imagine him later on with his friends? Like, no, dude, I swear this chick came up with this truck and she gave me this food. And they're like, yeah, right.
This magician just made it appear.
Yeah.
There was a girl.
So,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah. So,
All right.
you know, and once something like that is in your heart, you can't get rid of it. So I'm very committed to the cause and I carve out time, you know, every week or two to make sure I'm there with my truck and I can, you know, help out and do what I need to do. So it's cool.
Well, we used to do something called the Magic of Giving Project. And the only reason we don't do it anymore is because we had twin boys and it was hard with babies and going out and doing stuff. But we'd film them. We would give out lottery tickets, just random to strangers, just giving, just Magic of Giving. I'd produce them magically and then hand them out. So it was a little bit. Some people watch the magic. Some people like the giving part. For us, it was all about the giving because it feels so good to you. It's like that magic trick, you know? You're going to the magic store freaking out, wanting to buy something because you know what that will do for others is really what it is.
Exactly.
And real quick, I don't want to make it all about me, but I was fortunate enough through my publicist that charity needed a big way to give a car away. And they were like, do you think you can make one appear? Sure. I got all the credit for it, Lynn. I didn't arrange it. I didn't do anything. But I'm the magician that made it appear. The other charity and the car dealership are the ones that paid for it, but I'm the one that made it appear. And that family will never forget me. Long after the car is dead and gone, I made a car appear for them. It's one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Back. We're all for it. We love it. We love it.
Yeah.
We need to start figuring out how to do it now that the kids are 5. But it's getting them in the car, getting them there. We're videotaping who's babysitting the kid because my daughter was in videos with us.
Right.
We'll have to get them all in with us.
Yeah.
What we have to do.
Get them to do it
That's
too.
awesome.
So tell me about Magic at the Symphony because Penn and Teller did Magic at Pops or something like that. They did a symphony thing. And I was like, that's really unique. You're the only other person I've heard do something like this. I'll watch some of the video. Amazing.
Oh, thank you.
About with the elephants and a month of practice and rehearsal to get everything timed to the music. I can't imagine how much the rehearsal time was.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just doing, you know, a guest appearance with a symphony and doing some magic and them dictating the music that would be used. It was a whole program created from zero, ground up, with the music selections and, you know, figuring out the timing of each piece with the music and editing the music and buying all the music and coming up with everything. It was quite the process. Listen to hundreds of pieces of classical music because that's my background, music, and I'm like really persnickety about making sure that all the hits line up with the music and, you know, because that's the whole part of the dynamics, you know. So anyway, we came up with this whole thing and had not done any of these Magic at the Symphony programs, but I had a manager in New York City and he loved the idea. Actually, his client had been Doug Henning for a couple of years. So he knew a lot about Doug. So it was kind of really cool.
Wow.
And so he said, well, what I need to do is try to convince these symphonies around the country of this concept. It was all conceptual. We hadn't really done it. So I rented out an auditorium and performed the illusions and then kind of piped in the music and hoped that a conductor or an artistic director would look at it and say, oh, I get it. So the symphony is going to be behind you playing the music while you're doing these illusions, right? That was the idea. So this went on for almost a year. And almost every week, my dad would say, what is going on with Magic at the Symphony? Don't worry, Daddy, it'll happen. And he was all hung up on all the money that I put into it, you know, because he was always so, you know, protective of me. And I said, it'll happen, it'll happen. Well, crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. I'm in New York City one day. I get this call from this Mr. G. Wald in New York. And he says, my dear, you won't believe where your first Magic at the Symphony performance will be. Lincoln Center.
Oh,
What? You know, that live from Lincoln Center you'd see on PBS. I could not believe it. I just could not believe it. So I was right in the city. So I took a trip over there and my legs were shaking when I walked on the stage. I was in awe. It was absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful concert hall, 3,200 people. And so we were going to do 2 performances in one day. My dad was so over the moon about this whole thing. He rented a bus with a driver, had all these friends, family, fans on the bus to go see me at Lincoln Center. And then Mr. G. Wald said, you know, we've got to get some kind of video of this. And I said, well, I checked into him, Mr. G. Wald, and you can't even take a picture at Lincoln Center, never mind video. So then I thought about it, and don't tell anybody, you guys, but I hired an undercover film crew that did 60 Minutes in Dateline to go in and get some footage. So they went in there, and back in the day, you know, when the technology isn't what it is now with the little teeny cameras. Oh no, I mean, they had hidden cameras in their hats and, you know, everything else that they went in and got some footage. So, and I still have that footage, and at the end you can hear my dad yelling bravo.
Oh,
Wow, that's
so
priceless.
sweet.
Yeah, it really, really is. And then that led to subsequent other symphonies hearing about it, and, you know, coast to coast, San Diego Symphony, Dallas Symphony, San Antonio, New Mexico, all over. So it's a really cool program.
Yeah.
So was that you touring that, or were they hiring other magicians? Was
No. Now that was, you know, they would present Magic at the Symphony. And it was a standalone program. So, you know, it wasn't just part of an evening of classical music. People would go to see Magic at the Symphony with the Dallas Symphony, or, you know, whatever one we were appearing with. So
That's awesome.
So when you're putting that show together, that was all you picking all the music, or did I thought the symphony would say, okay, we want these pieces, we think, and you guys were kind of talking back and forth.
Did you do the music that you had recorded it with, that you said you filmed originally? You just kept that, and that's what they had to.
Right. So I have 2 sets of all of this music, and I'll ship, you know, the music out about 2 months ahead of time, so that the librarian can divvy it up with all the musicians, and they can have it and they can practice with it and so forth. And then it requires a couple of rehearsals. I have the listening rehearsal. I sit there with my stopwatch and go through the timings, and if we need to tweak anything, we do. And then we have the actual dress rehearsal. But it's interesting because you could practice 10 times with the symphony, but when you do it for real with the audience, things change a little bit with the music. You know, maybe they've had too much caffeine or this or that, whatever. You're like, wow, they are like cranking tonight. And, you know, you're like running around like a kook trying to keep up with the music, or vice versa. You got to like slow it down a little bit and do a little improvisation to catch up to the hits, or, you know, whatever, because that's a big part of it. It's so exciting. You know, when you're, you know, whipping around a sword, and, you know, you put the sword in and it goes crash with the cymbals or something like that, you know, the crescendo of the music. So that's what makes it really exhilarating. And, you know, I integrated the conductor into it as well. You have to stroke his ego and make sure, you know, he's involved, and come up with some magic with him. And it's a really neat program. I haven't done it in a while though, because of the pandemic, and my symphony manager died of COVID.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a tough one.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I never played an instrument. Why would the tempo be faster? What? Because they're reading the notes. That note means 4 beats.
It's live, and sometimes you get adrenaline live in front of an audience. In case you didn't know, magician that's on a stage and you've sped up talking, and I've had to go slow it down.
You tell me, but I'm not reading music either.
Right, but you don't realize you're going faster. That can happen with music as well. You get
And the
better
whole
adrenaline, you
orchestra
get the
is
nerves or
faster.
whatever. Well, yeah, you're keeping everybody's got to stay the same. So even if that guy's like, oh, this is nothing, he's still got to keep up with everybody else who's going, okay, we're in front
Yeah.
of the audience, whatever.
Wow.
So
wow.
yeah.
Right.
So
And
crazy.
the conductor basically is driving the bus
Right.
in that regard. So with the tempo. Yeah, but it's I can't express what an incredible experience it is, you know. I pinch myself every time, especially when you're in an illusion or you're doing the choreography and you turn around, it's like, oh my gosh, there's like an 80-piece symphony like right there, you know, playing this music. It's really something. So I'm very, very fortunate to have that experience.
So with your vote is magic. You have a book out about that as well, correct? People can buy.
Right, right.
So that's the DVD and a book we need to go get right now.
If you'd like.
.com?
Sure. Well, they can go to my website or the book is on Amazon. Yeah. Your Vote is Magic. How an illusionist, an elephant, and a donkey are making voters appear.
Does it have the history of the story of what you tell on stage as well? Yeah. Awesome.
Yes. The backstory of the illusion plus some of the voting history. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
That's sounds awesome. You had a thing in your one sheet that said what it takes to keep an illusion going during challenging times. What was that in reference to?
The economy when it tanked in 08.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, a lot of corporate bookings just fell off the face of the earth. Corporations really downsized a lot with their entertainment. You know, everybody was holding on to their purse straps, and yeah, that was rough for a number of years. And then the pandemic. I mean, my goodness, you know, I mean, for one thing, even when we could start to go out and perform, a lot of audiences were nervous about being in a space, you know, sitting next to each other and everything. And now precarious times out there in the world. So it's pretty dicey.
I'm listening to famous comedians talk about get over it. The pandemic only lasted a year. Not in the magic world.
Mm-mm.
Not in the magic world. It lasted longer than a year because people were afraid. People weren't booking shows, or they can't book a show because grandma and the cousins won't show up because he's got immune problems and he's afraid to go out yet still. And it wasn't just a year. It was a long
things
time.
got tight because they couldn't work, and entertainment's the first thing to go on your budget.
Oh, exactly. No, it was really precarious. And then you'd start to build a little bit of momentum, and there would be another surge with COVID, another, you know, semi-lockdown, or, you know, yeah, it was crazy. Or the masks, you know, having to wear masks. Did you guys encounter that?
Yeah, we had one show where they were like, okay, you're on stage, so you don't have to wear a mask, but you need to perform behind the plexiglass. We're like, okay. We get in there, and the plexiglass is seriously like 2 feet by 1 foot. And Wes is like, can't perform behind 2 feet. Like,
it was just on stage. I walk around, I'm looking at every person. I have to communicate with the audience. I'm not going to just stand there and have her hand me props.
And I don't understand how they thought 2 feet by 1 foot anything from going anywhere, but you know, that's what you dealt with.
It was just in case they got in trouble. We had the plexiglass in there.
It's just dealt with that type of thing. But
growing up, I heard, you know, I'm coming up in the 90s, you know, working at a magic shop and you know, really trying to start a magic business. And everybody's saying, oh, it's a bad time because the 80s was the big boom. You missed all the corporate stuff of the 80s. The 80s was the big boom. There's nothing now. And I'm seeing World's Greatest Magic on television. I'm seeing a boom. And they're like, no, you missed it. This isn't. And it's, you know, I guess it's a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It goes in cycles, you know. And it's different now. I don't think as many people are getting into illusions.
No, a lot of close up. Close up is
cost prohibitive.
Go to a magic meeting. Everybody's bringing in the newest card trick. Everybody's just doing close up.
Yeah. And now with the big screens and the you know, the iMag at a live performance, you can have somebody doing card magic in a 2,000 seat theater. So it's tricky times. It really is, just to try to, everything has gone up so much with expenses, maintaining a huge truck, all the different things entailed with that. The fuel, you can relate.
You have a CDL then. You drive the tractor trailer.
I drive it, but it was spec'd out to be 1 pound under needing a CDL.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
That's kind of cool.
And see, with all RV pulling a trailer, they said you didn't need anything.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I'm not surprised though, with that kind of setup.
Yeah.
How many thousands of pounds are you hauling?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. That trailer is chock full.
Yeah. I don't know. But the RV is
36 feet.
36 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're pulling a 12-foot trailer behind it.
Wow. Yeah. You have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of toys.
Toys are in the way back. This is just for the family because I'm dragging them along on my adventure and I want them comfortable. So they got video games and TVs and DVD players and bunk beds and bathroom, potty on the road for 5 people.
So nice.
I got to get to the show on time. I don't have time to stop again for you. Let's go.
I love it. That's great.
So what are you doing now? You doing the magic, your Vote is Magic show. What else are you focused on at the moment now?
My theater show, corporate stuff here and there, anything else that comes our way, a variety of different types of gigs. Even like small venues to try to do a run.
Yeah.
So, for us, 4 shows on a weekend, with doing a 90-minute show, that's a good run. That's probably the longest run I've had since the one of my pantyhose.
So how do you maintain your assistants? How do you keep them? You're working that much that you just have full-time assistants on duty, or do you have a whole Rolodex of people that you can call for different things?
My assistant is the mainstay, TJ.
Okay.
He's not technically full-time. He has to have another job to supplement this. But then all the other guys are kind of on a rotation.
Okay.
Kind of plug and play. I look at what's coming up. I might need 2 guys, one to do lighting, knows all these different lighting boards, either at the venue itself or running my lighting board. Sometimes we use all the lights from the theater. Sometimes we hang our lights and integrate those into the theaters. There's all kinds of different possibilities. So I have to hire him and then an extra person, production assistant. So, and at the venue, then we have a whole other crew at the theater, usually about 3 or 4. So yeah, it's a lot. And I can't believe that it only takes you guys maybe half an hour to set up. It takes us 8 hours.
Yeah, I was telling her, I said the last show we did 2 illusions and we showed up and we really only had a half hour to set up the show.
Well, that wasn't on purpose. We gave ourselves that was rushed. We gave ourselves over an hour, but the parking situation wasn't what we were told it was going to be. So that took up a good 30 minutes of our time.
And the parking lot changed since the Google Earth photo.
Right. So then once we finally figured that out, then we have to go check it out. And then we have to come back and unload everything and get it all set up. So yeah. We had more time planned. We just didn't have it.
But our full evening show, we planned 4 hours.
Yeah, 4 hours for that. But yeah.
And I told her we cut corners. I know I have illusionist friends that listen to the podcast. And I told her before we started filming that we've cut corners and we don't even use ATA cases anymore. We just roll everything out to save time.
Yep. We cover it with the moving cloths and buckle it in and everything or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we're not assembling it at the place and then having to take it down afterward. It makes it a lot easier.
Oh, it sure does. I hear you. We can't do that with every illusion in the show, but a lot of it is just the lighting. We really get into lighting cues and things like that. It embellishes things. I don't like anything to be overproduced. and have anything take away from the beauty of the magic. It's there to enhance it. But still, you know, the cues have to be built in, and every place is different. So that's the challenging part, because you have a lot of downtime, even though I'm backstage, you know, doing all my things here and there. But you know, 3 hours sometimes just to tech the show. So
Yeah.
you're on your feet a long time, even before, you know, you feel like you've been shot out of a cannon, because our show is like super high energy, and it's that adrenaline rush right when you're like doing whatever for the very, very beginning. You know, that's how I feel like I've been shot out of a cannon. But you need that adrenaline rush to have the energy to get through the show.
Well, the audience can sense it if you're not into it and going through the motions.
Right.
And no matter how hard you fake it, if you're not into it, the audience can sense it. So
They can.
God bless you. That's great that you have that passion and you want to do that. You know, we don't have the lights, so that helps us tremendously. We just use whatever the theater has. We let them know, you got lights? All right, cool. We'll use yours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's a big part of it. So, but you gotta love what you do. You gotta
Oh
love
my gosh.
every aspect of what you do.
Well, I've loved you since the 90s when I first saw you, and I've been following your career from afar. I know I have a cover of you on a Magic magazine, but I have every Magic magazine from 1936, and I don't remember if it was Mum, if it was Linking Ring, or Magic magazine. How many different magazine covers have you been on? I was going to pull it today, but I don't even know where to start looking.
Magic, and then let's see, two MUMs. I know that.
I thought Mum as well. Yep.
Yeah.
Celebrity. I love it. I love
it.
You're the best. Thank you so much for doing this
You're
today.
so welcome, you guys. Thank you. I feel like we've known each other forever.
Where can everybody find you at? LynDillies.com?
Magicoflyn, LYN.com.
Magicoflyn.com.
Yes. And Facebook.
And her award-winning teaching DVD that you can get at that website as well.
Magicoflyn.com. Yes.
And if you like that Your Vote is Magic book, you can get that there too.
You sure can.
Golly, you're awesome. Thank you for doing this. Thank you.
You are so welcome, you guys. My pleasure and my honor.
Only thing we have left to say is see you next week.
Okay.
Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Iseli for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.